Let's just get the ugly out of the way early. Last year, this team underperformed to a nasty degree, not only missing out on the playoffs, but also the play-in tournament, which is especially disappointing because on paper, this team is stacked. Luka and Kyrie both played out of their minds offensively with even more help from guys like Christian Wood, Tim Hardaway Jr., Spencer Dinwiddie a little bit, etc. And the Mavericks came in at the end of the season with the 6th highest rated offense in the league, which goes to show how valuable a strong defense is. They finished at 24th in the NBA for defensive rating. Even though they were good on offense, the major lack of defense proved to be a strong hurdle for them to overcome. And tell us about some major roster overhauls that kind of took place over this offseason.
Yeah, the Mavericks, they are all in on the Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving duo, for better or worse. We'll kind of see how it all works out. Defense, like you mentioned, will be the big issue, and we'll talk about if they fix that, but it's all riding on Kyrie and Luka for the most part, and especially offensively. They gave Kyrie Irving a brand new 3-year, $120 million contract, which no other team was willing to give him, and not only were they not willing to give it to him, they weren't willing to give him a long-term contract to begin with, even pushing a max contract beside here. So we'll kind of see how that works out for them. I like the fit, but it is taking a big risk. I would agree that the problems with Kyrie are a little bit overblown, with a lot of that coming during the COVID era and him just kind of going through a few things around that time frame. It does seem that he's very committed to this team at this point. He likes the direction that they're going in. He likes what him and Luka Doncic can become together, and I get it too. I mean, you can make all the similarities you want to Luka and LeBron. They're definitely different, especially athletically. But given kind of the ball dominant style, the high pick and roll, the court vision, how him and LeBron kind of are viewed that way, I get it. Him and Luka, Kyrie and Luka, they can fit together on offense. It's all about giving that fit more time to, gel. They barely played together after the trade deadline. Kyrie got hurt a little bit, then Luka got hurt, and then by the time they were both healthy again, they were out of the playoff hunt, and the Mavs literally told them not to play at that point to get them a better draft pick and to not even go through the play-in tournaments because they probably wouldn't have made a deep playoff run. And that's kind of where they're at right now. They just have to give more time to get that fit right, and with their new additions, and hopefully bring it all together.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, I think the mesh is right. I mean, Kyrie averaged 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists per game last year, and I suspect he'll likely float around the same ballpark this next year. And Luka averaging 32 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists. I could see him sitting around that same as well as Kyrie. Maybe a few more boards depending on how they kind of run him, maybe play him a little bit further down, but I think that the big issue is the defense, and we'll talk about that in this video, kind of some of the pickups they did it. One big one that I really like actually is Grant Williams, and he's always kind of shown his great toughness and versatility as a defender, and to me that fits the bill as a true role player, which I think is what this team is really looking for. And on a roster with ball dominant players like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, he was able to still put up 8 points a game and bring down almost 5 boards a game. He shoots a decent efficient percentage from 3 as well, at just about 40% last season. And that's just going to allow Kyrie and Luka to space the floor a little bit better, which, I mean, will make it even easier for them to drive and score than it already was. And speaking of 3-point threats and floor spacing, the Mavs also can't seem to get enough of one-season runs with Seth Curry. They picked him up again for what will be their, I think, third separate season. And, last year,
too,
is it third?
It could be 3.
This will be the
Either
third.
way, I'd believe it.
Yeah, I mean, last year he shot 41% from 3, and he's getting even more efficient, scoring at all spots. I like the role that he could play, and he's kind of falling into in the NBA. A super solid role player that can help space the floor well and work with decent on any team. Before we continue, I just wanted to take a few seconds to talk about and invite you to join our NBA Discord server. Our JSM NBA server is full of hundreds of people who love everything NBA. Do you like instant news updates around the league, NBA memes, talking stats, or even live chatting with others during games? The JSM NBA server has got you covered, plus so many more things to do and see. Come check out the JSM NBA server for free. We'd love to see you in there. The link will be in the description below. Now let's get back to the video.
Yeah, I love their two kind of main additions here, especially the Grant Williams one too. When we're talking about defense, which is undeniably what they need, Grant Williams was a great pickup for them. Great 3-and-D forward. He can kind of fill the role that Dorian Finney-Smith left when they traded him. He can switch 2 through 4, even 2 through 5 at times against an ultra small ball lineup, and he's tough. We watched him kind of take on that Giannis Antetokounmpo matchup during the 2022 playoffs, and no one's gonna stop Giannis, but if you can hold your ground against a guy like that and even win that battle at sometimes, then yeah, you're a pretty sturdy defender. He's a hard-working defender too. He's a smart defender, and they need more guys like that on their team. They can't expect Josh Green, who we'll talk a little bit more about here in a minute, to do everything for them. But yeah, Grant Williams, really good addition for them. You touched on the three-point shooting, and not only did he shoot about 38-39% overall, but he shoots 39% on catch and shoot threes, which is huge. He'll be playing in the corner and wing, getting the ball from Kyrie and Luka and having to catch and shoot immediately, and he can definitely fill that role for them. And then of course Seth Curry, how you mentioned, 43.5% career three-point shooter. He'll kind of be a lightning scoring offense off the bench for them. Instant three-point shooting, catch and shoot guy as well, over 40%. Two great options with that. And then kind of moving on from them, they picked up Derek Lively in the draft, 12th overall draft pick, only 19 years old, with an NBA comparison to former Mavericks center and 2011 NBA champion Tyson Chandler. Now, I'm not sure he'll be able to fill that role this year, let alone in even 2-3 years, but if he could even do a small part of that for them in the middle, that would be huge, because if you take a look at their roster, they don't have a rim protector right now. Other than Lively, potentially. They got Dwight Powell, who's a smart defender, a good team defender at times, but he's not a rim protector. They got rid of JaVale McGee after that experiment unfortunately didn't work for them. And then other than that, they got Maxi Kleber, who is a really good defender, but he's not a rim protector. He can kind of do the switching and hold his ground on defense, but he's not protecting the rim either. So between Derek Lively and maybe Richaun Holmes a little bit, he's not really a great defender, but he will provide size and athletic ability down low. Those two are kind of going to have to fill that rim protection role for them, which again, they're definitely going to need. They can't put everything on Grant Williams and Josh Green defending the point of attack and perimeter. They're going to need some rim protection as well.
Yeah, I mean, Derek Lively is kind of a little bit of an unknown, but he showed some really great defensive potential at times during his time with Duke. And I think he could be maybe a sleeping giant with his per minute and per possession metrics being pretty high. And I hope to see Dallas tap into that potential. And, Dwight Powell, like you say, he does try. He's smart. He tries his best. He's kind of got shorter arms for his size, and that obviously shows out on the court. I think that the Richaun Holmes pickup is a little bit more underrated than we think. He was the starting center for Sacramento for a few years and put up great numbers. Granted, on not the best team, but he put up great numbers and provided some pretty good shot blocking and rim protection capabilities. His minutes kind of dwindled once they acquired Sabonis. He's only 6'9", but he has a 7'2" wingspan, and it allows him to alter shots and contest heavy at the rim. And I think that he could offer a lot for that defense. And the Mavericks, they drafted really well, like you said, with Lively, but I also think with, and I might butcher this, I'll just say Prosper. I don't know how to pronounce his first name.
Yeah, Olivier Maxence Prosper, I think. Yeah, I like that defensive pick for them as well. I'll let you talk about him.
I think so too. I think that, he put up great numbers scoring in his position during his collegiate years and stuff, but I think that he's extremely athletic. He's not the tallest, but I think he's extremely athletic. He played kind of a jack-of-all-trades role at Marquette. And even in the combine, 21 points, 11 boards, played some great defense. And I think pairing these two, Lively and Prosper, with further development of Josh Green will lead them to filling some pretty important roles for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, I really like that you brought up Prosper there as well. Hopefully we're not butchering the name, but I did like that pick for them. And, with them picking him up, it really shows that the Mavs, they clearly wanted to bulk up their big wing depth, and especially with a big emphasis on defense here. Again, they added him, Grant Williams, they picked up Derrick Jones Jr., and then they did try to pick up Matisse Thybulle as well. Really showing a big commitment to improving their defense and switchability on defense too, which of course is even more important than, just a big rim protector down low who can't switch on defense in today's NBA. They recognize the importance of that. They know that Luka and Kyrie are just not good defenders. They can, maybe a possession here and there when they really need to in big moments. Yeah, they can tighten up, they can make a good effort, but you need to put good defenders around them. They're going to take on a huge offensive burden for the team, and you need to put good defenders around them to not only keep them healthy and fresh, but for them to take on the best matchups. And like we were talking about before a little bit, Josh Green, a lot will ride on him to do that. He'll have to be their nightly lockdown defender, and they just really don't have another guy who can do that. Again, they tried to get Matisse Thybulle. Grant Williams, he's more of kind of a big wing defender and kind of a holding his ground in the post in like a small ball lineup. He can kind of take on that matchup, but Josh Green is a lot more suited for it, and he showed great ability throughout the past 2 years now. Been top 50 in defensive Raptor rating both years, and I'm looking for him to take another small step forward. He's already a borderline lockdown defender, and if he could really achieve that, that would be huge for this team. He's a really good three-point shooter as well, good catch and shoot guy, and putting him in a lineup with Kyrie and Luka along with Grant Williams, and then they'll probably throw Dwight Powell in there as well, which, that's okay. He's not a rim protector, but really good pick and roll guy, sets a really good hard screen, smart defender, smart guy overall. I like that lineup for them. It will kind of be a toss-up with who they eventually go with, but a lot will ride on Josh Green and Grant Williams to kind of fill that void of Dorian Finney-Smith and add that defensive presence around Kyrie and Luka.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good stuff. It's so interesting if you compared last year's roster at the start of the season to this year's. There's like 5 guys that are still on this team that from last year, which you see kind of often, but it's incredible to see the Mavericks' dedication to, they listen, they know what was the issue, and they kind of went after it. So just to kind of wrap up my piece here, I think, overall, I certainly don't think the issue is Kyrie and Luka. I think they mesh great together and complement each other well. The big issue was they got rid of 2 great perimeter defenders, and they didn't have that great rim protecting big. And I think defense is, just as, if not more important than offense, and the Mavs focused on adding that defense in the areas they needed. And they're poised to be much better in that sense. And if they can do that, I could easily see this team making a run into the second round or even conference finals. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that would kind of be around the same ceiling for me as well. I'm kind of hesitant to make a ceiling prediction with this team, even though you mentioned they kept 5 players, and that's not even that bad in today's NBA with how much roster turnover there is nowadays. But I really feel like we need to see more of them. We didn't get to see enough of Kyrie and Luka to make a good judgment about them. And then with all their new additions as well, they're gonna have a pretty new rotation, and I think we need to see a lot more of them. And obviously to make a good prediction, but even for a ceiling take, they have the talent to make it to potentially a conference finals, but it's going to take a lot for them to really put everything together here. It's not only the Kyrie and Luka duo here. Again, theoretically it can work, but it will take time for them to mesh and kind of find that ball sharing time frame with them. How are they gonna separate their minutes if they have to? How are they gonna keep both of them happy? I mean, at one point Luka Doncic even outright said, I think, I'm not happy right now, and you need to fix that. Obviously, they're both very talented and their skill sets theoretically do work. It's just going to take a lot of work for them to get there, and mentally, and it seems like Kyrie and Luka, and obviously they're willing to commit to that, and I think it will obviously get better, but it's going to take a lot from the role players as well. I'm really interested to watch this team, though, how the season will unfold for them. I think they're going to be an offensive dynamo with all the 3-point shooting around Kyrie and Luka, and then of course letting them cook on offense, isolation plays, high pick and roll. But I will really be watching that defense. I don't think they're going anywhere unless they can have a top 15 defense at the very least. And that would be taking about a 10-point jump from that 25th rated defense that they had last season. And that's just really, that will be the key for me. If they can do that, I could see second round, potentially conference finals beyond. But until then, it's really going to be a wait and see approach for me.